Good day everyone, I am Gretchen, and in this video, I am going to discuss about Desuggestopedia. So first, what is Desuggestopedia? Desuggestopedia, it is an application of the study of suggestion to pedagogy, or a teaching method based on the idea how the human brain works and how we learn most effectively. It includes a rich sensory learning, a positive expectation of success, and the use of a varied range of techniques like dramatize, text, music, active participation in songs, and in games. It developed by the Bulgarian psychiatrist Georgy Luzanov. Luzanov introduced the conception that students naturally set up psychological barriers to learning based on the fears that they will be unable to perform and are limited in terms of their ability to learn. As a result, Luzanov began to develop a language learning method that focused on the suggestion of the limitations learners they think have and providing the sort of relaxed state of mind that would facilitate the material to its maximum potential. I will show you a sample of the Suggestopedia in class. Let us say in class setting, level of students, beginning level, class duration, 2 hours to 3 times a week. Setting, Egypt, mother tongue, Arabic, is one of the sample the Suggestopedia on how it works. Here is the observation and the principle of the Suggestopedia. First, the classroom is bright and colorful. Learning is facilitated in a cheerful environment because of the design of the room. It can make the children happy. Second, among the posters hanging around, a student can learn from what is present room, as several containing grammatical information in the environment, even if his attention is not directed to the peripheral learning. Third, the teacher speaks confidently. If the student trusts and respects the teacher's authority, they will accept and retain information better. 6. The students introduce themselves to the teacher. The dialogue that the students learn contains language they can use immediately. Fourth, the teachers gives the students the impression that learning the target language will be easy and enjoyable. The teacher should recognize that learners bring certain psychological barriers with them to the learning situation. She or he should attempt to suggest this. Fifth, the student choose new names and identities. Assuming a new identity enhances students' feeling of security and allows them to be more open. They feel less exhibited since their performance is really. 7. They play rhythmic instrument as they sing a song. Songs are useful for freeing the speech that of a different person. 8. There are reproduction of classical paintings through the text. Fine arts provides students a positive suggestion for the students. The teacher distributes a lengthy handout to the class. The title of the dialogue is to want to be, how to is to be able to. The teacher should integrate indirect positive suggestions into the learning situation. The teacher gives the students hats to are auditioning for a play. This means that dramatization is a particular valuable where for the different characters in the way of playfully activating the material dialogue. The student take turns fantasy reduces barriers to learning reading a portion of the dialogue. The teacher briefly mentions a few points about English grammar and vocabulary. These are in bold print in dialogue. So the teacher should present and explain the grammar and vocabulary but not dwell on them. The bold print allows the students focus to shift from the whole text to the details before they return to the whole text again. The dynamic interplay between the whole and the part is very important. The left column is the dialogue in the target language. In the right column is the native language translation. So one way that meaning is made clear is through native language translation. So 12 is the teacher reads the dialogue with the communication takes place on two musical accompaniment. This means this means that she matches planes on the one linguistic message is her voice through the rhythm and intonation encoded and on the other factors which influence the linguistic message on the conscious plane, the learner attends to the language on the subconscious plane. The music suggests that learning is easy and pleasant. When there is a unity between conscious and subconscious, learning is enhanced. The teacher reads the script a second time as the student listens. This is done to different music. A calm state, such as a state one experiences when listening to a concert, is ideal for overcoming psychological barriers and for taking advantage of learning potential. 14. For homework, the students are to read the dialogue at night and in the morning. At these times, the distinction between the conscious and the subconscious is most blurred and therefore learning can occur. 15. Makes an error by saying the error in a soft voice. So errors are corrected gently, not in how you do. The teacher corrects direct, confrontational manner. 16. The teacher tells the students that they the fine arts, music, arts, and drama. The teacher should help the students activate the material to which they have been exposed. The means of doing this should be varied so as to avoid repetition as much as possible. Novelty aids acquisition enables suggestion to read to reach the subconscious. 17. The teacher leads the class in various activities involving the dialogue. For example, question and answer, repetition, and translation. The arts should therefore be integrated as much as possible into their teaching process. She teaches the students a children's song. Music and movement reinforce the linguistic material. It is desirable that students achieve a state of infantilization so that they will be more open to learning. If they trust the teacher, they will reach this state more easily. The teacher and students play a question and answer game. In an atmosphere of play, the conscious attention of the learner does not focus on linguistic forms, but rather on using the language. Learning can be fun. So let us now follow our usual procedure of reviewing the principle of a method by answering our 10 questions. Number 1, what are the goals of teachers who use the Desuggestopedia? So teachers hope to accelerate the process by which students learn to use another language for everyday communication. In order to this, more of the students' mental powers must be tapped. This is accomplished by disagitating the psychological barriers learners bring them to the learning situation. So the second one is, what is the role of the teacher? What is the role of the students? So the teacher is the authority in the classroom. In order for the method to be successful, the students must trust and respect her. The students will retain information better from someone in whom they have confidence since they will be more responsive to her suggesting their limitation and suggesting how easy it will be for them to succeed. Once the student trusts the teacher, they can feel more secure. If they feel secure, they can be more spontaneous and less exhibited. The third one is, what are some characteristics of the teaching learning process? The course is conducted in a classroom that is very bright and cheerful. Posters displaying grammatical information about the target language are hung around the room in order to take advantage of students' peripheral learning. The posters are changed every few weeks. Students select target language names and choose new occupations. The teachers present the dialogue during two concerts. This represents the major phase, the receptive phase. In the first concert, the teacher reads the psychological barriers learning bring uh, with them to the learning situation. The fourth one is, what is the nature of student-teacher interaction? What is the nature of student-student interaction? The teacher initiates interaction with the whole group of students and with individuals from the beginning of the language course. So initially, the students can only respond non-verbally or with a few target language word that they have practiced. Later, the students have more control of the target language and can responsive more appropriate and even initiate interaction themselves. The fifth one is, how are the feeling of the students deal with? A great deal of attention is given to students feeling these methods. One of the fundamental principle of the method is that if the students are relaxed and confident, they will not need to try hard to learn. It will just come naturally and easily. It is considered important in this method that the psychological barriers that students bring them be disaggested. Indirect positive suggestions are made to enhance students' self-confidence and inconvenience them that success is obtainable. Students also choose target language names, assumption that a new identity makes students feel more secure and thus more open to learning. Sixth, how is language viewed? How is culture viewed? Language is the first of two planes in the two-plane process of communication. In the second plane are the factor which influences the linguistic message. For example, the way one dresses or the nonverbal behavior one uses affects how one's linguistic message is interpreted. The culture which Stassens learn concerns the everyday life of people who speak the language. The use of the fine art is also important in the Desuggestopedia classes. So 7. What areas of language are emphasized? What language skills emphasize? Vocabulary is emphasized. Claims about the success of the method often focus on the large number of words that can be acquired. Grammar is dealt with explicitly, hot, minimally. In fact, it is believed that students will learn best if their conscious attention is focused not on the language form, but on the using of the language. Speaking communicatively is emphasized. Students also read in the target. Language speaking communicatively is emphasized. So 8 is, what is the role of the student's native language? Native language untranslate is used to make the meaning of the dialogue clear. The teacher also uses the native language in class when necessary. As the course proceeds, the teacher uses the native language less and less. The ninth is, how is evaluation accomplished? So, evaluation usually is conducted on students in normal in class performance and not through formal tests, which would threaten the relaxed atmosphere considered essential for the accelerated learning. So, the last one is, how does the teacher respond to student errors? Errors are corrected gently, with the teacher using a soft voice. So the next one, let us go to the reviewing the techniques. First, let's have the classroom set up. So this is the challenge for the teacher, is to create a classroom environment that is bright and cheerful. This was accomplished in the classroom we visited, where the walls were decorated with scenes from a country where the target language is spoken. These conditions are not always possible. However, the teacher should try to provide as positive an environment as possible. So, peripheral learning. So, this means that this techniques is based upon the idea that we perceive much more in our environment than we consciously notice. It is claimed that by putting posters containing grammatical information about the target language on the classroom walls, students will absorb the necessary facts effortlessly. The teacher may or may not call attention to the posters. They are changed from time to time to provide grammatical information that is appropriate to what the students are studying. So, positive suggestion. So, this also means that it is the teacher's responsibility to orchestrate the suggestive factors in a learning situation, thereby helping students break down the barriers to learning that they bring with them. Teachers can do this through direct and indirect means. Direct suggestions appeal to the student's consciousness. A teacher tells students they are going to be successful, but in indirect suggestion, which appeals to the student's subconscious, is actually the more powerful of the two. Choose a new identity. This also means that the student choose a target, language, name, and new occupation. As the course continue, the students have an opportunity to develop a whole biography about their fictional selves. For instance, later on they may be asked to what or write about their fictional hometown, um, childhood, and family. So the next one is role play. Students are asked to pretend temporarily that they are someone else and to perform in the target language as if they were the person. They are often asked to create their own lines relevant to the situation. In the lesson we observed, the students were asked to pretend that they were some else and to introduce themselves as that person. So let's have the first concert. The two concerts are components of the descriptive phase of the lesson. After the teacher has introduced, the story has related in the dialogue and has called her students' attention to some particular grammatical points that arise in it. She reads the dialogue in the target language. The students have copies of the dialogue in the target language and their native language and refer to it as the teacher is reading, music is played. Second concert. This is all about in the second phase, the students are asked to put their scripts aside. They simply listen as the teacher reads the dialogue at normal speed. The teacher is seated and reads with a musical accompaniment. Thus, the content governs the way the teacher reads the script, not the music, which is pre-classical or a baroque. At the conclusion of this concert, the class ends for the day. So primary activation. These techniques and the one that follows are components of the active phase of the lesson. The students playfully read the target language dialogue out loud, individually or in groups. In the lesson, we observe three groups of students read parts of the dialogue in a particular manner. The first group sadly, the next angrily, and the last is cheerfully. So creative adaptation. The students engage in various activities designed to help them learn the new materials and use it spontaneously. Activities particularly recommended for this space including singing, dancing, dramatizations, and games. The important things is that the activities are varied and do not allow the students to focus on the form of the linguistic message, just the communicative intent. So that is all about my topic about Desuggestopedia, and I hope you learned something today. Thank you.